Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and we've got lots to get into this morning actually. Some very interesting developments. Sir Alex Ferguson basically, probably inadvertently, but was caught on camera when speaking to Khabib and was quite, read it how you want to read it, basically saying that Ollie got it wrong in his team selection by not picking Ronaldo, and we'll talk about that. Also, 2 new contracts being worked on that I think are going to annoy people. Also, the midfield solution. Seems to me that Solskjaer's got a short-term midfield solution and a longer-term solution. We'll be talking about Kessie and what he's looking to do in the short term when we come back from the international break, as well as a few other things as well. But first of all, let's just start off. These 2 new contracts are, we got Mike Phelan last night, Manchester United working on Michael Carrick and McKenna. As I said on social media this morning, look, you know what? With Paul Pogba out of contract in the summer, I just think it's great that United are securing people down on long contracts like McKenna and Carrick, because we can't lose anybody else to Real Madrid and PSG for free. It really is that simple. But sarcasm aside, I mean, look, it's not like if Solskjaer loses his next 4 games, they won't all get the sack. So, if United keep performing badly, then they will all get the sack. Ultimately, that's what will happen. I think Phelan, Carrick and McKenna are just follow-ons from Ollie. I've said this before, that they are... Ollie is not like a normal manager. Ollie wasn't brought to this club, Ollie come to this club and save this club. Ollie was brought to this club to work with Phelan, Carrick and McKenna on a short-term project. They did really well and they got the job. And they're all part of the same thing. One of them won't get sacked and 3 of them stay. They'll survive together or they'll get sacked together. It's as simple as that. So I'm not massively bothered about Carrick and McKenna getting new contracts or Mike Phelan, because they're all part of the same thing. And, I still hope that they're all going to be very successful, but ultimately... I don't think it means anything that they get new contracts. It's as simple as that. So I'm not massively bothered. I know it's not massively exciting, and I suppose at the time we're in at the moment, it's quite frustrating. I get that, but I'm not massively bothered. I do want to come back to McKenna and Carrick, because there is a quote I wanted to just chuck out here that we'll talk about in a couple of minutes' time. Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna are working hard with Scott McTominay on the discipline and passing required to operate as a sole sitter in midfield. This is from the Athletic. I think it's from Laurie Whitwell. So Manchester United's one of Manchester United's midfield solutions is for Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna to work with Scott McTominay on becoming a centre defensive midfielder. This is a guy who's 25 in December. 25 in December at Manchester United Football Club. We are training somebody to become a centre defensive midfielder. I mean, this is like a Formula 1 race, right? And Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari are competing for titles. And you know what we're going to do as a Formula 1? We're like Williams. We used to be good. What we're going to do is we're going to wheel out the 1991 Williams Formula 1 racing car, and then we're going to go and pick some random off the street and say, you're going to be as good as Lewis Hamilton in that car. It's just bloody ridiculous. It terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me that we are looking to do things like that. I mean, the old adage I would use, and it's a little bit offensive, but, you can't polish a turd. And what I mean by that is Pep Guardiola can't go to Stoke and buy a replacement for Aguero because he's a brilliant coach. You can't polish something that's not that. The whole reason people are spending £100 million on players is because football is about specialism. You can't just pluck a number 8 and turn them into a number 6 when they're not even really a number 8. Like it's fuzzy thinking from Michael Carrick and Darren Fletcher used to play in the midfield, so let's put Lindelof on the bloody wing. It's just stupid. Mark, you look superb today. Also, do you think McFred will continue? Surely there comes a time where Ollie has to mix it up even to appease the fans, says JT. Well, maybe that's what we're looking to do. Hi Ollie, do you think Rashford being back will force Ollie to play Pogba in the midfield? And do you think this is what he's been waiting for? Hates went. Well, I'm going to be back in a minute because I've got a really important... I can't miss this delivery. It's breaking news. I can't miss it. It's too important. I mean, you're important. This is too important. Too important. So we're back in the room. Brand new phone, basically. Just got you can't leave that on the step. So yeah, it's hence why Scott's now doing positional work with Pogba. Yeah, I mean, look, Ben, I think you're right. I think he's probably going to look at McTominay and Pogba as the midfield too, and in the short term, then that does make a lot of sense. I agree. But look, let me talk about this first because it fits in with what I'm about to talk about. So Khabib, the fighter, McGregor knows him well. He's at the United match on Saturday. Big fan of Ronaldo. There is a clip. It's been taken down, but everybody's seen it now, so it's been said. The reality is that Khabib is talking to Sir Alex Ferguson after the game. And he says, basically, Sir Alex says, not picking Ronaldo sort of galvanised Everton. Made them probably feel a little bit more confident. And Khabib says, well, he came on in the second half. And Sir Alex says, you've always got to start your best players. You always start your best players. And then they continue to talk about other things. You could tell by... Look, I've spent most of my life watching Sir Alex Ferguson do interviews, post-match and everything like that. I can't say that we can read him like a book, but you can definitely read Sir Alex Ferguson when he's joking, when he's being sarcastic, when he's being serious. He's being serious. You can tell he is thinking why Ronaldo didn't start that game. Now look, Sir Alex Ferguson's been retired for a very long time. It doesn't mean that he's, Ollie out or anything like that, but you can definitely tell from that clip that Sir Alex Ferguson is like, I don't understand why he didn't start Ronaldo in that game. We've just drawn a game that we need to... And Sir Alex ain't stupid. He knows that United needed to win that game. Having lost at home to Villa, they needed to win that game, and he's then not picked Ronaldo, which has given Everton a boost, and lo and behold, Everton have come away with a point. So, very telling. It doesn't help Ollie. We were talking last night about Gary Neville saying that Ronaldo walking off shaking his head, it increases the pressure on Ollie. I think that clip from Sir Alex Ferguson increases the pressure on Ollie, because people can talk about rotation, they can talk about what they like, but the reality is at the moment, there's this big question mark above Solskjaer and his coaches. And when the greatest coach there's ever been comes out and says he should have picked Ronaldo, I don't understand why he's not picking Ronaldo in effect. That's another person who's basically questioning Ollie. It's not about Ollie's rubbish. It's not about get rid of Ollie. I'm 100% certain that Sir Alex Ferguson is 100% behind Ollie. But when you've got somebody who's behind Ollie saying he's made a bloody mistake there, it just shows you that Solskjaer is making mistakes. And I keep saying this to people. Whether you're Ollie in, whether you're Ollie out, I think everybody needs to accept the job Ollie's doing at the moment is full of flaws. It's not good. And he has got to change things around. And, I don't know why he didn't pick Ronaldo on Saturday. It was a bad idea. And was that the reason we drew? I don't know. We might still have drawn with Ronaldo. We lost to Villa with Ronaldo. But certainly, I think Sir Alex has hit the nail on the head. You've got to pick your best players. And it galvanises Everton. Like, you don't want to give a team a boost before kickoff. Neville stupidly tried to rebuke Ronaldo for putting pressure on his mate Ollie. Is he going to do the same to Sir Alex? Our legends are failing us, says Shola Music. Well, I don't know whether... I never saw... to be honest, I couldn't be asked to listen to the whole bit about Gary Neville, so I don't know whether he was like having a go at Ronaldo for doing it or not. But, more interesting for me, I think you make a great point, is that a year ago, Ollie was smiling during a game, and I think we drew or we lost, and Robin van Persie was on BT and he said you can't be smiling in those situations. And there was a press conference afterwards where basically Ollie sort of tried, I think we won the next game, and then Van Persie and Ollie was sort of like, that was my chance to go in on Van Persie. Is he going to say something about Sir Alex? This is the thing, you're getting criticised because you're not doing your job properly. And you can't pick and choose who you decide to go and have a pop at. Start doing your job properly, because at the moment, as I said, you've got more flaws than a skyscraper and it ain't working. So, it does need to be addressed. And it feeds nicely into what we were talking about there, because I want to talk about Kessie in a moment. Casing, thank you very much for the super chat. But, you've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying... Sorry, you've got Sir Alex Ferguson, saying that why didn't he pick Ronaldo? It was a mistake, basically. And then we've got this story coming out that Michael Carrick and McKenna are working on with Scott McTominay on how to basically be a CDM. And I wake up to that, and to be honest with you, it makes me want to throw up. It's the same as Fred did it a couple of weeks ago and working hard on how to be a CDM. So basically, the big plan this summer was to spend 35 million on Varane. That's a great deal. £74 million on Sancho and not really pick him. and then just totally not buy a midfielder, because you know what the master plan is? We're going to teach Fred and McTominay how to become centre defensive midfielders, both of which, one of them's about to be 25 and I think one of them's 28. So we're going to teach basically not young players how to become a position that is one of the most revelled positions in the world, like, you know, revered positions in the world. It's a very technical position, a CDM. But Michael Carrick and McKenna are now teaching Scott McTominay how to do it. And look, I'm not saying it's impossible. Ollie doesn't have the gall to bite at Sir Alex Ferguson. No, he won't, Gabriel, not in a million years. But I'm not saying it's impossible to mould a player. We've seen Ryan Giggs has played as a CDM. Paul Scholes has done it. You can definitely do it. But I think there tends to be a level of ability there already, which I think is severely lacking with Fred and McTominay anyway. And look, I've said it about Fred, so I'll say it about McTominay. A lot of you have said that McTominay's our best option as a CDM. Hello, my name's Nemanja Matic. Why are we... the thing that really frustrates me about this midfield situation is, why are we trying to polish these turds in relation to Fred and McTominay, who are not centre defensive midfielders? Scott McTominay, even a year ago, said his best position is a number 8. He likes to get forward. So we're turning people into something they don't want to be, instead of actually playing specialists in that role. And look, I keep hearing people say, and I've heard it from the training ground last season, Matic can't play 90 minutes anymore. Why is Nemanja Matic at Manchester United if he cannot play 90 minutes? Can we answer that idiot bloody mistake again? Because all I see is mistakes after mistakes after mistakes in the Friends Reunited club. Why is Nemanja Matic here if he can't play 90 minutes? Because to me, he is clearly the best centre defensive midfielder we've got, yet we continually ignore him. So it has to be because he can't play 90 minutes, or it's just pure incompetence again. But either way, it's incompetence double. Because if Matic can't play 90 minutes, why has he got a squad number? It's a false economy, because we think Matic should start, but the truth is he can't start. So why is he here? He's the best CDM we've got, but if he can't play 90 minutes, why is he here? Why is he taking up a wage? Why is he in the squad? Does that get asked by anybody? No, because he's not a new signing that's been treated badly, and he's not a youth player, and the media aren't clever enough. Why are they not asking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about Nemanja Matic, who is quite clearly our best CDM, but never plays? What is the reason for that? And I tell you what, if it is as suspected he can't play 90 minutes, that is total and utter incompetence again. To keep a player in our squad who can't play 90 minutes, what is the point? And therefore you get in a situation where we are training Scott McTominay and Fred to be CDMs instead of buying one. At Manchester United, we're trying to win a title, but during that title challenge season, we are trying to mould 2 players who can't play the role. We're teaching them. I mean, can you just imagine the hilarity you would get with a little bloody GoPro watching Michael Carrick with McTominay and Fred trying to teach them to do a role that he mastered for 10 years? I mean, if I was Michael Carrick, whilst I'm teaching McTominay and Fred how to be a CDM, in my head I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? I may as well just get my career and take a big crap all over it. I mean, it totally belittles the specialism of the role that Michael Carrick and McKenna, or whoever's telling them to do it, think they can take a player like Fred or a McTominay and turn them into a top-class title-winning number 6. It totally belittles the quality of a Michael Carrick or a Roy Keane or a Fabinho, or a Rodri, or a Jorginho. It totally belittles their talent to think you can just grab a standard midfielder and turn them into a number 6 that can win a title. It just absolutely amazes me that we think we can get the old Mr. Sheen out and start polishing the turd and turn it into gold. Like, you know, I don't understand why we're doing that. And also, why are we doing it 7 games into a season? Was this not meant to be the plan in the summer? We heard in the summer we were going to play one holding midfielder and be a bit more attacking. What do? The season starts. It's the same old midfield 2 of McTominay and Fred. It doesn't work. Surprise, surprise. And now we're trying to turn them into a holding midfielder in the season. And I tell you what, the cliches are all going to come out again, everybody. Because remember last season, Oh, we haven't got time to work on any tactics because there's so many games. But now we've got time in the season to try and turn someone into a number 6. It's just baffling. Absolutely baffling. And of course it goes back to what I'm going to talk about now, is that we should have bought a midfielder. We should have bought a midfielder and we didn't. Hi Mark, I'm really sure now that Ollie was the one who didn't want a CDM and that was never his priority. Aditya, look, I will sit here and I will tell you now, categorically, we all wanted a holding midfielder. Ollie didn't want a holding midfielder. He wanted Sancho, Varane, a right back and a striker. And if he'd had the money left, he would have got a midfielder. But it was at least option 4, more realistically option 5. Do not give them the get out of jail card. You might have highlighted that we needed it as a number 1 priority. I certainly felt that we did. But the club didn't. They didn't think we needed a holding midfielder. And this season is falling apart because of it. We've got no midfield. We've got a brilliant back 5. We've got a brilliant array of attacking talents. We've got no midfield. We're a bagel. And the club didn't spot it. Casing, thanks for the super chat. Hey man, I just want to say you're so incredibly entertaining. You're like Carl Pilkington. I don't think you know how funny you are. Thanks for it, says David. Thanks for the super chat, David. Aside from Matic, Bruno would genuinely be our best bet at CDM. That's how bad they all are, says Ben Traola. I think Ben, you're right. I think, you know, I saw an interesting article on Stretty News yesterday about playing Bruno in a deeper role. I think he could do the number 8 better than most people that we've got in that squad. But look, you'd miss all the creativity of Bruno then. But I think that, look, I mean, I do want to talk about Donny. I'm not going to talk about Donny on the morning show. In fact, I think I might do a show around 2 o'clock today where we can have a big debate about Donny, because there's a few things I want to talk about. I've heard such nonsense over the last 24 hours. I really feel that there is a conversation to be had around that midfield and Donny van der Beek. So I think I'm just going to do a show at about 2 o'clock. But look, let me talk to you about Kessie, because there is a longer term solution. Of course there is, and it is the news show. So there's a story coming in from Italy that Manchester United are looking at Frank Kessie from AC Milan. This is a player I've always liked. You know, I've got to be honest, this is a long-term solution. This is not going to help us. And I think at the moment, quite rightly, a lot of United fans, myself included, are very much focused on the short term. We've not had a very good start to the season, and I'll argue that with anybody. And we've got a very difficult October and November to come. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't win a lot of games in October and November, but we're not going to have Frank Kessie. We're not going to have Declan Rice. We're not going to have Tchouameni. We're not going to have Bissouma. I wish we did, but we can't. You know, you can't buy anybody in this international break. But longer term, look, I think Kessie's an interesting player. I do like him, and he's out of contract in next summer, so it would work. But you know, I think there'll be a lot of people looking at him. But, you know, I'd be very disappointed United weren't looking at him. He played very well against us back in the Europa League a few months ago. So I think Kessie's interesting. And as we spoke about with Romano on the show yesterday, there'll be a lot of clubs looking at him, and United may well be one of them. Matic and Mata are here due to the incompetence above. Ollie, Glazer's out. Ollie wanted Sancho and Upamecano last year, CDM this year. He didn't want a CDM this year, Ali. So, you know, stop making excuses. How long are we going to put up with this amateurish and naivety from the management before enough is enough? Our squad is literally imploding, says Julian. What I did like about the comment there from Alahi is that, you know, he quite rightly highlights the issues above. I think one of the big frustrations you get at United is, look, let's talk about that Sir Alex Ferguson thing again. Sir Alex Ferguson was obviously frustrated at the weekend that we didn't start Ronaldo. He couldn't understand it. You know, it's only a very short clip, but he clearly couldn't understand why Ronaldo didn't play that game and felt that it gave Everton an opportunity to get a result, which therefore happened. This level of scrutiny doesn't exist in Manchester United Football Club. There will be nobody in Man United Football Club who will have spoken to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on Sunday or yesterday and said, look, why didn't you start Ronaldo on Sunday? Why have you only got 14 points from 21? Why are you still picking McTominay and Fred? Why have we spent so much money and the football's no better than last season? That, you know, not even angry questions, but accountability questions. They don't get asked. You know, this is why Carrick and McKenna are on the training ground with Scott McTominay trying to teach him to be a holding midfielder, because these ideas are allowed to take place at Manchester United because there is no accountability. The Glazers, Woodward, you know, all the people above Ollie are incompetent, basically. They're just not very good. And therefore, they don't have the authority or ideas to actually query things that are going wrong. Manchester United get described as a lot of people as a mates rate club. Everybody high-fiving and patting each other on the back. There's no accountability in there. There's nobody like demanding better, because it's all about, one, obviously making money, but two, maintaining the status quo. You get these whistleblowers in life, they work in the NHS or something in the UK, and they'll come out and say, look, this department is corrupt, or it's incompetent, these are the things that are happening. I'm amazed there's not been any whistleblowers from United, because you talk to people and people talk to you and they'll say this is going on, that's going on, but it never comes out publicly. And I think that's why United like to bring in the director of football role. Everyone was saying the director of football role that Darren Fletcher and the other lad, forget his name, someone in the chat will tell me, Murta, are doing. Everyone was like, oh, they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. But is a director of football's job not to actually tell the manager what the team needs and discuss it? Because, I don't think the director of football's done a good job. I think he's done a bad job, because the midfield is so obvious to everybody, to you, to me, I feel like the Chuckle Brothers, to the media, to ex-players. Nobody picks McFred. Nobody. Whether it's Garth Crooks on BBC, or it's bloody, Fancy Premier League, or it's Match of the Day, or it's Gary Neville, or it's you. Nobody puts McFred as their midfield two for Manchester United. And nearly everybody says that we need to buy one. And yet our director of football and our manager have decided, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Well, I'm sorry, that's just incompetence. And the director of football role was a con job. We've been talking about a director of football at this football club for years. What did United do? Created a role and then moved somebody that was already doing that job into the club. It's a fake job. Like, it's not a proper director of football. And yet again, it's somebody from within the club. It's always back slapping, handshakes and everything like that within United. They don't really want to bring specialist people in, which is why it was very surprising when they brought Eric Ramsey in. But if you look into the backstory of him, he's somebody that was at uni with McKenna, I think. So it's never really a specialist that comes into this football club from outside. It's always a mate of somebody somewhere. Like, even on the board, I think Matt Judge and Ed Woodward were at the same uni together. And I'm pretty sure somebody told me that Ramsey, who's come in, was at uni with bloody McKenna and somebody else. And obviously, there's a lot of coaches that Ollie's brought. So there's always something. There's never a specialist that comes in and like, you did a great job at Leipzig. We don't know anything about you, but we'd love to have you at the club because look at your CV. We don't do that. It's always got to be something that knows somebody, that therefore you've got each other's back. And that lack of accountability creates an issue. Because Sir Alex Ferguson had no problem with doing this. Carlos Queiroz wasn't a bloody ex-United player or anything like that. He was brought in because he was a specialist, and he was brought in as an assistant coach. And that happened a few times with Sir Alex, and it happens with a lot of other clubs as well. But United, that accountability just isn't there. And that is why mistakes manifest into bigger mistakes. Because there's nobody going and saying, what the hell are you doing with that? And these little mistakes become bigger problems. Mark, we were so intolerant of Mourinho's play style as a fan base, yet we have tolerated the exact tactical approach from Ollie for a while now. Why? Says Brad. Because it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to be honest with you. The biggest example of that I can give you is McTominay's Ollie's son, says P. Well, I don't think they look very similar, and I don't think he is. But the biggest example I can give you of the Mourinho-Ollie thing, and I think it's a great thing to discuss, is that the similarities are very, very big. Apart from one key thing. Ollie is basically at the same stage that Mourinho was at, whereby he's into year 3, he's got to deliver a title. They both finished second, they both had a big summer, and then they both started the season disappointingly. The interesting thing is, Mourinho didn't get backed in his summer. Mourinho didn't get a Ronaldo, a Varane, or anything like that. But Ollie did. And I felt that the club improved there because, Mourinho finished second, Liverpool had a great summer, they'd finished behind us and we fell miles behind. Man United finished second, and we actually have spent money. I just think we've spent it wrong in the fact that we didn't get a midfielder, even though we brought some brilliant players in. So we have spent money, but then we've started the season not to the level we want to. And more importantly, the football is crap. The similarities between Mourinho ball and Ollie ball is actually very, very close. But the best example I can give you is the reason Mourinho got treated so badly is because he's Jose Mourinho. He's got a personality that's very, arrogant, justifiably at times. He's not a Man United player. He's not an ex-Man United staff member. And, it was easy for the likes of, ex-players to go in on him. The only difference between Mourinho and Ollie is that Ollie has worked on the structure of the football club. There has been a lot of work on the structure of the football club, which, to be fair, Van Gaal started. We started buying 15, 16-year-olds under Van Gaal. So it's not... Ollie's just developed that further. But more importantly, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a legend of this football club, and it provides a security blanket that he can sleep under even when things are raining. He can hide under that security blanket, which Mourinho never could. He's protected by the media, and he's protected by ex-players, and he's protected by us. Even though we call him out, we never go as far as we need to go, or should go, because we're always like, we love Ollie. Ollie's an ex-player. And that can be subconscious or it can be conscious, but he is. And the ex-players who've played with him definitely protect him, because the treatment that Mourinho got was very, very different to the one that Ollie gets. And look, you could look at it and say that Ollie's had more resources as well, and actually, factually, has provided less success. Mourinho did win a Europa League. Mourinho did win a Carabao Cup. And Mourinho did finish second. Mark, I'm shocked that the conversation around trophies has just disappeared over the last few years, says Aditya. And do you think we can actually win something this year, says Mason? I think the FA Cup is probably our best chance, to be honest with you. Ben says, Murtagh got lucky in many respects. Sancho was half signed. Varane wanted out and loved United. Ronaldo we were basically forced into. Where are the shrewd Leicester signings? Tchouameni, says Ben. Look, you know what? I think it's a great point. We talk about the coaching. We talk about Ollie a lot. But ultimately, you're right. I think I said it at the time, everyone got really excited about this director of football role, because I think ultimately football fans and United fans just want success. They want to be positive. And we come back and beat Leicester 3-0 away from home, and people will be like, we're back. Then we'll probably lose to Liverpool, and we're like, no, we're not. Everybody wants these false dawns to be real dawns. They want them to be, a real indication that we're moving in the right direction. But with the Murtagh thing, I was very dubious. Check the tweets from the time. I was like, well, he's already been at the club for years. It's not really a director of football role. And why are things going to suddenly change when he's been basically doing that job for the last few years? And did it change? Quite rightly, did it change? Did we highlight that we needed a midfielder? Did we go and make signings that are impressive signings like Leicester do and other clubs do? Or did we just go and do the bloody obvious? Like you say, Sancho should have got last year. Varane was desperate to get out. I think Varane was a very, very good signing. And Ronaldo was sort of like, it was a brilliant signing, but it wasn't bloody difficult to do. It was about, will the Glazers pay for it? And they did, because they knew they could get the money back. So, it was a brilliant, brilliant summer, but it didn't actually... I just think, I still sit here now and I cannot believe I'm reading stuff like Fred's being taught how to play CDM. McTominay's on the training ground being taught how to play CDM. What's going on? Why are we doing that? We've just spent £74 million on a player that Ollie's not really picking. £74 million would have got us one of the best CDMs in the world. And I like Sancho, and I think Sancho's going to be a great player. But if I said to you now, Sancho's still wearing a Dortmund shirt, and the £74 million has been spent on a Declan Rice or an Ndidi or something. I know it would have been difficult even to get them for £74 million, but you know what I mean? You would get a top CDM for £74 million. Would you rather Dortmund still had Sancho and we had a top CDM, or would you rather we had no CDM and we had Sancho? Because to be honest, I really do like Sancho, but 100% it's about a team. It's not about what you think about a player individually. I 100% would rather Sancho was still in Dortmund and we had a great holding midfielder, because if we had a great holding midfielder, I think we would not have 14 points from 21. I think we'd be higher up the league, and I think we'd be a lot happier, because I'm telling you, it really is the missing piece. It's very rare in football you can highlight one area of a team and go, that's the issue. But that's the issue. It really is. I love the back five. So many attacking options, but the midfield has been a problem for a long time. And as I said, if you could have Nemanja Matic at 27, we'd be fine. Absolutely fine. Michael Carrick 10 years ago, we'd be fine. But what we're trying to do now is not buy a specialist and, as I say, polish a turd. You know, trying to turn players that aren't holding midfielders into holding midfielders. You know, if you act like amateurs, you're going to end up with amateur results. Jesse Lingard is so much better than Sancho. Lingard should be starting over him, says Nick. Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to get into that, Nick, but the point is, I really like Jadon Sancho, and I think he's going to be a success at Manchester United. But if we didn't have him, would we be going, oh my God? You know, Mason Greenwood's there, Jesse Lingard's there, Alanga's coming through, we've still got Martial, Rashford's coming back. That 74 million really should have been spent on a midfielder. But of course, Ollie prioritised Sancho and then doesn't pick him. Do you really trust Ollie to use a CDM properly, says Sam Ameson? I don't think he knows. I don't think anybody in that football club knows how to use a CDM. And it's funny because Mike Phelan was a midfielder and Michael Carrick was one of the best midfielders we've ever had as a six. But nobody seems to understand it. I am not going to talk about Donny on this show because I'm going to do a special show at 2 o'clock. But I understand that Donny will always get brought into this. So, you know, at the end of the day, we've had some very interesting news this morning that Michael Carrick and McKenna are going to get a new contract like Phelan, that Michael Carrick and McKenna are working hard with McTominay to teach him how to be a central defensive midfielder. Along with the 75 million on Sancho, we've also spent around 70 million on Ahmad, Palestri and Donny the year before, says Paul. I mean, that's you know what, that's absolutely that is actually a fantastic point. You know, I feel that we've needed a holding midfielder for about 2 years. And in that time, you're right, 74 million on Sancho, another, you know, at least 60 million on the players you've just spent there. Well over 130 million has been spent on players that ultimately aren't playing or aren't as important as a midfielder. And you know why? And I said it after the game against Everton, and we're talking about it again here. Everybody, from you to me to media to ex-players, have been saying for a very long time that United need a specialist holding midfielder. And Ollie has been here for all that time with his coaching team, and they've ignored it. And why have they ignored it? For the same reason, you look at that bench on Saturday and Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic and Donny van der Beek are sat on the bench. We haven't bought a midfielder, and we bench Pogba and Matic because he's obsessed with McTominay and Fred, whose defensive stats are terrible, whose attacking stats are terrible, but he chooses those over Pogba, Matic or signing anybody. And that is the obsession that is killing this team. And that is the obsession as to why we've only got 14 points from 21. It's not about Fred the individual, and it's not about McTominay the individual. I think both those players are valuable. Personally, I think they're both bench players, but I think they're valuable in a squad. This is about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think it's wrong that Fred or McTominay get stick. Because what are they supposed to do? When they're told they're picked and they're going to put their hand up and say, but Pogba and Matic are better than me, Ollie. You're going to play. You're going to play. And I do feel for the players, but ultimately they're being put into a position where they shouldn't be playing. The time they bought Sancho, they didn't know Ronaldo was coming, says Addy. I don't think that would have made any difference. I think Ronaldo was a deal that United did because they didn't want him to go to Manchester City, really. Yeah, energy and desire, says Shawin. And Ollie is clueless. Donny is way better than Fred and Ollie. Well, we're going to talk about Donny at 2. I don't really want to delve into Donny because there's loads of things I want to talk about that. Benson says, honestly, most of your points are basically saying that Ollie isn't the right man for the job. We bought in a manager that got a club relegated in the Prem. Cardiff wasn't Moments FC, so he failed. And Himanshu says, CDM is the engine of the team. CDM is the conductor of the team, and we don't have that yet. It's amazing. I remember when Jose wanted to get Louis Campos to fill in our director of football spot, but Woodward straight up denied his request as Woodward thinks that knows how to do the job better. Woodward and co have always been about self-preservation. The last thing anybody at that football club wants is somebody coming into that football club as an outsider that they don't know, that's going to come in and go, what the hell's going on here? That is the biggest fear in that football club. They don't want a specialist to come in and go, what the hell is going on here? And whether it's looking down at the coaching or looking up at the board, if you brought a director of football in that knew what they were doing and wanted to be successful, within weeks they would go, what the hell is going on here? And if you remember, we did bring somebody in as a head scout. He was very well connected. He was very well thought of. I think he ended up, I can't remember his name. I think he went to Zenit. Someone in the chat will know. He came in and everyone was very excited, and he went out very quickly, and he went out, you know, sort of out the back door. And I always felt and was always told that was because of incompetence, and, you know, basically he couldn't do his job. Ronaldo was bought for profit, not to make a statement, says Liam. And Ferguson had to play Raphael as a CDM because of this board, says Alihi. And what is Fletcher's role in the structure? Why does he buzz around training, says Akshay. Ribalta, that was his name. Ollie thinks McTominay is keen, clueless. Well, I said that last week, Jay Lings, fam. That's his name, I'm not calling him fam. I said that last week. You know, literally before I think it was after the Villa game. So before the 2 results we've had since then, I was talking to somebody and they said, look, Ollie loves McTominay and sees McTominay as his Roy Keane on the pitch. And, you know, after choking on my coffee, I was like, yeah, it does make sense, because he picks him over better players. You know, he's not Roy Keane. That's all I can say. Ollie thinks done that one. Imagine not selling Schneidlin and he was our CDM. Mark, has anyone mentioned this? And is it possible that Ollie's waiting for Garner to develop into the role of CDM? Says Eve. And hi Mark, have you considered? No, I haven't. And what is Fletcher's role in the structure? Why does his buzz around training? Says Akshay. And you know, just going back to that previous point though about James Garner. It just feeds into what I said last night. We've got Ronaldo. We've got Varane. We've got Bruno. We've got Pogba. In a year's time, Pogba will be gone, Donny will be gone, and Matic will be gone. So we'll be rebuilding again. Oh, it's Garner's breakthrough season. Can you not see a pattern here? Why are people getting excited about Garner? I think he's an interesting player, and I hope he makes it at United. But he's another let's see what happens in 3 years. We've got Ronaldo for the now. We should have bought a midfielder for the now. We shouldn't be trying. You know, how long is it going to take for Fred or McTominay to become a CDM then? You know, even if look, let's imagine the CDM solution is Fred, right? Because they're working on Fred and McTominay, as we know. So Fred's going to be our CDM. He plays really well against Leicester. He plays really well against Liverpool, and then against Spurs, because he's learning, he makes a mistake and we lose. Can you see what I mean? Even if Fred or McTominay were the answer at CDM, they're being taught a job that they don't know how to do. So what's going to happen? Even if it goes well, they'll have a couple of good games, but then they'll make a mistake because then, you know, they're learning on the job. Well, that mistake will cost us a win, like it did at the weekend. And then you drop points, and then you don't win titles, and then you are a work in progress again. So this is what I mean. Everything always seems to be a work in progress. We've got an amazing back five. We've got an amazing option of attacking talent. We've got an amateur midfielder who are learning on the job, and they're going to cost us points like they have already. We never seem to just. The money was there. The thing that annoys me is the money was there this summer to resolve the midfield. It's not like we only had 50 million quid. We spent money this summer and we could have bought a midfielder and we didn't. So I'm not going to buy into, let's, be transition FC, progress FC. They took their eye off the most important area and spent money elsewhere. And that's incompetence, isn't it, really? And it's cost us 7 points already, as Himanshu says. Anyway, look, I'm going to do a show at 2 o'clock, which is going to be very much around sort of Donny van der Beek and stuff, because I think it's going to be quite a heated show. So make sure you tune in for that, because I really want to be interactive with the chat at 2 about this, because I keep getting sent clips and messages about Donny, and I'm like, I've been writing them all down, and I thought, let's just do a show on this, because everyone's got an opinion, and I appreciate that, but I think there's so much being said about Donny positively. And the counter argument is ridiculous. And we'll go through some of that at 2. But look, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Subscribe bottom right hand corner. Get yourself in the comments. And I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.